Hello everyone, my name is Jimmy and welcome back to The Last Lap. In today's video we're going to be talking about some news that came out over the past week, and we're going to be previewing the triple header this week at Las Vegas. But before we hop into it, I just want to remind you guys to hit that subscribe button if you love NASCAR content, because that's what we do. We bring NASCAR content to you guys every week, and hitting that like button will be appreciated as well. And you can also check us out on our social media pages at The Last Lap News. And as always, I have my friend and co-host Matthew joining me on the show. And here we go again. We got another week of NASCAR going back to Las Vegas, the second race of the West Coast Swing. So, Matthew, how you feeling heading into this week?
Man, I'm loving to hear that every weekend is race day, a race weekend basically. So another race weekend, all three series at the Sin City of Las Vegas. So I think it's gonna be a fun one, considering the show that we had at Auto Club with the Cup Series. So I can't wait to see how it pans out here in the first mile and a half of the season.
All right, so I have on my list here, I have 5 things of news that have come out over this past week. The first thing, first and foremost, is that Richard Childress and Hendrick Motorsports have both decided to pledge some money and ammunition to the stuff going on in Ukraine right now. So obviously, we want to lift up Ukraine right now during this tough time, so it's really cool to see the NASCAR teams are donating some money and supplies to them. So that's a really cool. Another thing is that the flat tire, the issue that was going on last week has not been addressed this week. I know they're trying to come up with some type of idea to fix it, but that has not been addressed this week just yet. I'm hoping and expecting that we don't see too many single car spinouts this week, just because Auto Club is like that is. I don't want to say it was expected going to the Auto Club, but you could kind of expect it with, in practice the cars are going on the bumps and sliding up and all that kind of stuff. So I'm not expecting too many single car spinouts this week, although I could be wrong and we could get as many as we did last week at Auto Club. But nothing's been specifically addressed about that just yet, but hopefully they can figure that out soon. Greg Biffle, he is back for Las Vegas with the NY Racing team. He's got a different sponsor on the car too, which is really cool. So good to see Greg Biffle back this week again. Hopefully he can, make the show and have a good run. And maybe, I don't really have any expectations for him, but I hope he runs well. So it's really cool to see him back in the sport once again for another race. 35 minutes of Cup practice. That is 20 minutes more than last week. Apparently NASCAR is actually listening to the drivers a little bit, because I know plenty of them were talking about how 15 minutes is not enough time. So NASCAR gave them 35 minutes this week. So everybody will be together for the practice session, and then they'll be split up into 2 groups for qualifying. So qualifying will be the same, but practice is everybody together for 35 minutes. So I think that's a great move for NASCAR. I think we still need an hour, but it's a good sign that NASCAR is at least willing to listen and give the drivers some more time. So hopefully in a few weeks we can get 1 hour long practice sessions every week. I'm not sure, but good to see at least 35 minutes of practice. And finally, Todd Gilliland is lost his crew chief and 2 other crew members, because apparently he lost a tire last week at Fontana. I don't remember seeing anything like that. Maybe I could have just missed it, but apparently Todd Gilliland lost a tire, and because of that they're going to have the same penalty that Kaz Grala and Justin Haley did last week, or not last week, at the Daytona 500, where they're going to have a crew chief and 2 crew members suspended for 4 races. So quite unfortunate for Todd Gilliland. It's another young team, new team kind of, with Todd Gilliland coming into the team and all that kind of stuff. They're trying to get used to each other, so unfortunate for them to lose their crew chief and 2 other crew members, but that's all the news I got for this week. So Matthew, go ahead and you can touch on any of those points you want, and we'll hop into our predictions for Fontana.
So with the whole wheel issue, of course it's going to take some time to actually come up with a plan of how to sort of fix this out. I don't think you can do anything with the tires. You got to keep it how they are. You can't risk, changing the heights of the car, because we saw amazing racing in Auto Club. So I think it's definitely not a good idea to mess with a car, because if they mess up with the heights, it could affect the racing, and maybe it might affect the racing for the not good side. So I don't want to see any changes with the car or anything. I want to see changes to like the procedure, I guess. So I don't know. I don't know exactly what they can do, but I know NASCAR is trying to figure this out. I think they said maybe to Atlanta when this whole West Coast stretch is over to actually have a new plan for that. So I'm eager to see how that works out. It's great to see the Biff back for another race this year. As far as how he'll do, I mean, this is like the team's like second race in like a few years, so we'll see how it goes. I think it'll be better than the Rick Ware racing cars, in my opinion. But under that, I have no expectations either. Let's see. I'm trying to think. Look, I besides the Todd Gill thing, was there another thing before that?
Todd Gillen losing his crew chief. I don't know if you've touched on that yet.
Oh,
Yeah.
I guess that's the last piece. Well, they deserve it. I mean, everyone else didn't struggle Auto Club with the loose wheel thing, and they screwed up on that pit stop, so they deserve it. So that is just how it is. And let me go back to that whole flat tire thing. I mean, it's not like every spin, like everyone is stuck. Like we saw Kyle Busch spin the very first caution, he didn't get stuck. Or how about when Brad Keselowski spun, he didn't get stuck. So it's not really like every spin that causes these flat tires. It just all depends like how long you're sliding, or if you get in the grass, or if you keep the car, in a great position to not blow out any tires, then you're good to go. So you might want to these drivers might want to practice how they take care of their car when they spin. Now maybe they'll decrease the blown tire part when they spin.
And did you talk about the 35 minutes of practice too?
Oh, so that was the other one. So I'm happy. I mean, you gotta have more practice. I still want a full hour, so I'm not completely satisfied, but 35 minutes is still longer, and that's fine with me. But they still need to let them adjust these cars. I still can't believe you're not allowing these teams to adjust their cars. I mean, that I still don't get that part. But other than that, I love having longer practice, but it still needs to be a full hour for me to be fully satisfied.
Yeah, I think they can make minor adjustments in the pits, but they can't make major adjustments. And those major adjustments are sometimes what drivers need if they don't bring the guys up to the racetrack.
AKA Kyle Busch.
Yeah, he obviously, he's like, he's the driver who I guess needs practice the most. It's
the old
there's several
school
other
way.
drivers that need it too. So
I mean, it's the old school way. Be real hands-on how to make your car better. These new drivers now, all they do is iRacing for, I guess for setups and practice. But that still doesn't, it's not really. I don't think it's really that effective compared to real practice. I mean, real practice, you're getting all the feeling in. iRacing, you're just getting like the feeling like on your steering wheel motion, or if your sim is really like that high basically a top-notch simulator, then you're basically feeling a little shaky, but it's not going to be like the real deal.
yeah, it's still kind of the same as last year, and I guess 2020 as well, where you still race with what you brought pretty much, but like the practice session is pretty much just to get a feel for the track and make sure nothing's wrong with the cars right now. So that's basically what practice is right now. You can't really make any major changes to the cars. It's just kind of to feel the racetrack out, to get used to it, and make sure nothing goes wrong with the cars. So yeah, hopefully we can get some more lengthier practices, and hopefully some adjustments made to the cars as well. The adjustments part of it, I honestly don't see that coming into play this year, just because they impound the cars like right after practice and qualifying. So I don't know, but We're gonna hop into our picks and predictions for this week at Fontana. Just very quickly, the truck and Xfinity race for this weekend too. That's Friday and Saturday. We're not going to give our predictions for those, but just wanted to let you guys know that the truck race is Friday night. The Xfinity race is Saturday. Words, and the Cup race is on Sundays. So I'll give you guys 2 or 3 drivers to look out for, and then Matthew give you 2 or 3 guys to look out for as well. So for me, let's see. Obviously, you have to watch Kyle Larson because he just came off a win at Fontana. Even though he wasn't dominant the whole race, he still ended up, getting the win, and he won here last year. So, I think Kyle Larson is obviously somebody you have to watch this week at Fontana. No, Las Vegas. I don't know what's wrong with my brain today. Tyler Reddick is another one to watch because at the Clash and at Auto Club, he was up front leading laps. Had a very good chance of winning both of those races. At the Clash, he had some type of mechanical failure, and then obviously Auto Club, he had a flat tire. So Tyler Reddick, I think, is one to watch as well. Surprisingly, I'm very impressed with his speed so far this year, and I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a top 5 or maybe even a win this week at I almost did it again, at Las Vegas. One more. Let's see. I'll go Joey Logano because the Fords in general have been pretty good at Las Vegas before. Joey Logano has at least one win that I can think of off the top of my head, if not more than that. Wins there at Las Vegas. And he started off the season with a win at the Clash, so I would look out for Joey Logano too. So those are 3 of my drivers to look out for. Matthew, who you got for drivers to look out for this week at Las Vegas?
So I got 3 drivers in mind. The first one, I'm going to pick out with the one I think shocked everyone last week, and that was Eric Jones, who basically had a fast car the whole weekend. I mean, he started on the front. He was basically second place like almost the whole race and finished the top 5. So obviously Eric Jones and Petty GMS have done some amazing work this off season. So I can't wait to see how they do at Las Vegas. I think that momentum is going to carry on over, so I'm going to keep my eye on Eric Jones. The second driver I'm going to keep a look out is Daniel Suarez, who also was up front. Well, maybe not up front, but he was up front at the end of the race and almost won the race if he didn't go to the bottom instead of taking Kyle Larson's line away. He probably could have won the All Club. So I'm going to keep my eye on Suarez to see how he does next weekend because he looked strong as well, especially towards the end. And then the third driver I'm going to keep my eye on, I'm going to choose a Las Vegas native here, Kurt Busch. Last weekend, he had a very up and down day, but he showed a lot of speed because he kept going back up to the front, but obviously has setbacks due to Toyota being basically having an absolute shameful performance with their engines. But every time Kurt Busch kept going up to the front, he still finished top 10, I think. So I'm going to keep my eye on Kurt Busch, and he won there in 2020, so it hasn't been that long since Kurt Busch won there.
Yeah, and for drivers to keep an eye on as far as, improvements go, it's definitely that whole Toyota organization after the engine overheating problems last week. Apparently those were fixed, so it's definitely going to be important to watch them and see how the Toyotas respond after last week and see how they can keep up with everybody else, because we weren't able to see how well the Toyotas did with everybody because almost every one of them had to come down pit road at some point to address those overheating issues. So hopefully those are all done and we can see how well they integrate with everybody else this week. But that's going to be it for our predictions part of this video. Matthew, do you have any other closing thoughts before we go ahead and wrap the episode up?
You still like Kyle Larson, right? I just want to clarify that for everyone.
Yeah, I brought up Kyle Larson as someone to watch. Oh, I still like Kyle Larson? Yes, I still like Kyle Larson. Yes.
Okay.
I really think people I think people saw Chase's radio reaction and just immediately thought that he hated Kyle Larson, but I honestly think that Rick Hendrick addressed it pretty quick, and I'm pretty sure they're just gonna let this go because
we'll see.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like everybody took this to a whole new level, but it's like the same thing that happened in Daytona with Austin Cindric and Ryan Blaney. Ryan Blaney was very frustrated with Austin Cindric, but they put it behind them and went on to next week. So I think it's gonna be the same thing with Hendrick Motorsports. But I mean, is that all you really had to do to say to wrap this video up? Is ask if I like Kyle Larson still? Is that really
this
it?
weekend, Denny Hamlin and Martin Truex Jr. don't like each other.
Yeah, I mean,
we had Ford teammates don't like each other. We had Chevy teammates didn't like each other. Are we gonna get a Toyota teammates that don't like each other?
it's possible. We could see some Toyota drivers get into it this week too. But yeah, that's gonna go ahead and wrap this video up. Thank you guys so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed it. Our review video will be out next week, talking about everything Las Vegas. But yeah, until next time, we'll see you guys in our next video.